Chandrasekhar Rao Garu, Chief Minister of Telangana, recently in his budget speech, giving reply to the discussion on the budget, focused on national issues and gave a speech for almost all 2 hours. He speaks well, he speaks better in Telugu, with a lot of anecdotes, fairy tales, and the 2-hour speech of him in short is mesmerizing. There were 3 points which he mentioned there, which I would like to elaborate on. One, he was comparing the period of Narendra Modi, 9 years, with the 9 years of rule by Manmohan Singh, and tried to show the period under Manmohan Singh was better in terms of all indices. He also pointed out that investment as a percentage of national income has gone down from 37% to 31% during this period after Modi has taken over. Third, he was also mentioning about the privatization of public sector profits and nationalization of private sector losses. This is another point which he has mentioned. So one by one, let's look at these issues. As far as the figures that he has taken into consideration to compare Manmohan Singh's period with Narendra Modi's period, nobody can find fault with him because he has gone by the CAG figures, Comptroller and Auditor General figures. But the base or the years of comparison, there are some issues which he ignored. The 9 years of Manmohan Singh's rule was never jolted by any major pandemic or a major shock of international importance. But during this 9 years period of Narendra Modi's rule, we faced 2 major crises. One was the corona pandemic, which not only impacted that particular year, but the subsequent year also in terms of the growth rate, followed by the Ukraine war, which also had an adverse impact. You take out those 3 years and compare the remaining 6 years, this side and that side, any day on all indices, the rule, the period of rule by Narendra Modi will come out with flying colors. There is no comparison actually. So that's the level at which the economy has grown during this period. But unfortunately, these 2 international proportion crises which hit Indian economy along with the whole of the world are responsible for a negative growth during that period of 3 years, which is impacting the cumulative numbers for the 9-year period. So essentially, without looking at this point, just to compare the figures and then say that Manmohan Singh's rule was able to produce better growth rates may not be correct. This is one major important. Second, he was mentioning about the investment rate as percentage of GDP being less during this period, which that's a fact. Actually, that's also because of the COVID. With COVID time, the consumption has fell. With consumption falling, investments, nobody was willing to invest. Since nobody was willing to invest, government has to invest. That's why the capital expenditure has gone up substantially, and government also went for higher levels of borrowing, and fiscal deficit norms were also breached just to sustain the economy. So when that is the case, to expect a higher investment rates after the pandemic has struck may also not be correct. That's the second more important point. Third was about the public sector undertakings privatization. He was quoting Air India and others, how they are being given over to the private people. Let's just take Air India. To just keep it floating with losses, the amount of public money that was sunk into it for the last 20, 30 years, if you take, it should be running into more than, I'll not be surprised it is anywhere near about 50 to 60,000 crores. Is it the right way of going about it? Is it really something which will benefit the common man in the name of public sector? All that you are doing is people's money, tax money, which could have been better spent on something else, is being sunk in just to prop up a loss-making unit. So it's good that at least now it has gone into better hands who can manage it more commercially, and the government is rid of this problem of putting its own revenues and people's money into a loss-making concern. The second, another important point which he forgot was during the Congress UPA regime, which Mr. Manmohan Singh was the Prime Minister, lot of loans were given without proper financial examination by government sector banks to politically connected people. That has artificially enhanced the growth rates during that period. It's some type of a swelling, not so much of a strength. All of them became NPAs within a decade, adversely affecting the growth rate and also coming up with a problem of recapitalizing the public sector banks, for which almost all 1 lakh or 2 lakh crores of public money was tied up. So this also has to be taken into consideration before one makes a comparison and say Manmohan Singh period was better. It definitely was not better if you take all these issues into consideration. Then he was also talking about how small countries are doing far better, and then how handling of material in the ports, the speed of the goods trains, everything is at a much higher rate in other countries than India. But true, that's also true, but it's a cumulative issue. It's not just an issue that is tied up with Modi's period. This is the result of about 50, 60 years of underinvestment, bad planning, bad execution. In fact, all that is being addressed, it's being addressed in the last 9 years, and that could be seen everywhere in terms of huge allocations and executions and investments in capital investments in infrastructure projects like railways, roads, ports, etc. It's there everywhere. It's visible actually. Almost all from 3 to 4 lakh crores of capital expenditure a decade back. Now it has come up to 10 to 15 lakh crores. If you put together these capital expenditure grants given to the states, it's almost all 14 lakh crores. It's phenomenal work is happening. So forgetting all this, to compare some statistics without looking at the base of them and then say the Modi government period, the growth rates are not correct, may not be the right way of going about it. Thank you.